Welcome back. We are once again using the Canon camera as we are going to go a little bit further into numbers as we are waiting for this to upload, and unfortunately well, we're at a standstill once again for the most part, but we'll go ahead and yeah, look at this. About 3 hours remaining, and this is less than a 7-minute video. And okay, now it's 2 hours. This is the nonsense that I go through daily about this, about that, as far as, yeah. So we'll just toss that to the side right now because, well, I want to start off with, once again, numbers. But am I going to be speaking about Moses and all that nonsensical storylines in this book of Numbers? No. But I am going to show you something in which we have to go back to this. And, well, I'm just going to go ahead and drop this right on down. And we will go to our photo gallery because this is rather interesting if you ask me, because every time that I go to clean, do the smart cleaning on my phone, for some reason a variation of these three numbers seem to keep appearing. Okay. Very strange. And of course, what is 666? Well, that so-called number of the beast, right? But what does that actually mean? Well, 666, of course, is supposedly the number of man, and what follows? 777, supposedly the divine number of God, right? So, from 666, according to prophecy, we go to 777, right? Because of the so-called return. Yeah, we'll get into that possibly in the near future. But the mark of the beast, or the beast himself, which in the past I have stated that was good old Barack Hussein Obama, and of course his administration. And that is really when all hell started to break loose, right? And of course you have to understand the symbologies that come about in order to make these connections, such as Obama and his limousine being nicknamed the Beast. And then after Obama, well, along came the image of the Beast, which was Biden, and his administration, which was nothing more than a repeat of Obama's administration for the most part, right? Okay, and what we are looking at as far as my device is actually the mark of the beast. Because as time will tell, and as is already occurring, more and more people are using their phones in order to conduct daily business, right? And if we go to cryptocurrency, something that is actually nothing, well, yeah, figured that out for yourself right there. Now, continuing on, of course, after those prophecies come to pass, well, we have the martyrs that occurred on both sides of the fence, George Floyd and Charlie Kirk. The martyrs for the cause, once again, prophesized, right? Okay, and we also have Donald Trump as the Prince of Peace, right? Or attempting to be, and wanting that Nobel Peace Prize, and you know, everything falling under the scenario of the prophesied Antichrist, right? Okay, and of course, we now have AI and information coming out that AI wants to become God. 777. It's all about numbers, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll continue on. Let's go ahead and get out of this. And what I want to do now is have a little bit of fun. Let's just drop that right on down. And let's go to the studio. All right. And if my reflection is being caught in the black screen of scrying, well, so be it. But let's go to comments. Okay. And, well, you know, show you a few things here that, yeah, okay, so community spotlight about comments, okay, and it says weekly highlight of your most engaged audience members, including your top commenters. Okay, so let's go ahead and have some fun with our numbers here pertaining to the audience engagement. Okay, so, ooh-wee, cat in the bird cage, 253 comments. Okay, and that is, you know, featured this week. Well, she has not commented in quite some time. So who's going to be the top commenter of all time on my channel? Well, we can see it goes from 253, 8, 2, 10. Ooh-wee, 887. Congratulations, happy joy for being the top commenter of all time on my channel. Much love to you, buddy. You've always been appreciated. So there's our numbers and the spotlight on the community of top commenters. And just think, looking at the numbers, just one more comment and we now go into 888. So what is 888 if we were to continue on with the mindset of thought process? What comes after God? Oh, death. I just think one less comment would have been 886. And what do they say when you want to off somebody? You're going to 86 them. Yes, people, my mind works in strange, mysterious ways because I am an enigma. And yeah, sorry for the shakiness here, but you know, this is a small pocket-sized camera, and it is what it is. But that is what I wanted to share as far as having some fun with some numbers today. So there we have it. I think this is long enough. And 9/11, 9/12, 9/13. Okay, I think, yes, we are good. And, well, all in all, people, thank you for watching. Take care. And have yourselves a great one, as this dragon is going to do, or try to do, just the same. Alright, just as an afterthought and add on at now 11 a.m. and 66% battery. You can't make this stuff up, people, right? And Oh, I could even go into this here as we're still waiting for this previous video to post. Um, Going back to prophecy, okay? Prophecy. Oh, hey, how about we just kind of add a little bit of light here so we can see that a little bit. And we'll get into Nostradamus in the future with more prophecies and explanations thereof. But going back to the numbers game, and what I was explaining as far as those so-called biblical prophecies, which once again, as far as I'm concerned, the King James Version Bible is a Freemason handbook, especially when you have a book within a book that is named Numbers, and which Freemasonry revolves around numbers and some and symbolisms and so much more. But anyways, going back to the Prince of Peace, the Antichrist. Now you have to also understand that Donald Trump went through 7 years of a tribulation process. Okay, which is prophesized. Okay, but everybody, was thinking that, oh, it's a 7-year tribulation that everybody falls under. No, no. Okay, and then it speaks of the Antichrist, especially Nostradamus and his speakings on the Antichrist, comes back with a vengeance, right? And what is currently being done that Donald Trump prophesied himself that would be done, the draining of the swamp, in an act of retaliatory vengeance. But yet we have all these channels out there that keep putting out, well, I'm just going to say garbage. Because they're not reading that Freemason handbook for themselves and connecting it to modern terminologies and events and all that. Because they have been so heavily programmed through religious ideologies that is all constructed through man because religion was constructed as a control mechanism. And it is still being used as such. So I'll just go ahead and leave it at that, because now we are at what? Oh, 666 again. You can't make this stuff up, people. Yeah, and then 67, the year I was born. Yeah, okay. Good enough, right? Good enough, good enough, good enough. Thank you once again for watching. I apologize for the false ending, but there's always those afterthoughts, and hindsight is 2020. And by golly, even though my physical vision, it has been declining over the years, I still have a lot of sight beyond sight. So thank you once again for watching. It's always appreciated. Take care. Have a great one. 11:35 a.m. and my apologies for once again having a false ending, but I forgot to also add in the factor that of the prophesized assassination attempt. Okay, and of course we've seen that play out with Donald Trump, and which the prophecy was of the Antichrist taking a blow to the head, and yada yada yada. So just adding in just a tidbit more. Um, yeah. And the one thing that I do not agree with is this little narrative here that the Antichrist is from the East. Okay? Um, but we are dealing with the East as far as Israel and Palestine. And once again, I plan on speaking that much further about Palestine and the Palestinians pertaining to prophecy. But that'll come in due time. Um, and of course, this is also being discussed today, right? So, all in all, what does this really boil down to is the factor that once again I have to go back to my time loop scenario theory that can be found in the playlist of through the homepage of this channel or over on my secondary channel, that of Dragonfire Investigative Research, in which more than likely, once again, I will be having my Palestine video over on that channel because it is more of an investigation. Okay, and it will be a little bit of rehashing from past content found on this current channel here, and what I have shown in this book pertaining to the maps. I don't know how clear this is. Not focusing once again. But it all goes back to this right here. Okay? Because that really is highly symbolic of the information that I want to share. So, alright, we can now end this officially, I guess, as I wanted to get in just that little 27 cents worth more of information, if you will. So thank you for playing along. I highly appreciate it, and as always, have yourselves a great one.